Okay, hello. So this is going to be my second video in the Blender tutorials. Now that we've gotten past the introduction to how to use Blender, I'm going to go into how to make your first model. Since I will be focusing on making models for video games and game production, I will not be teaching the usual method that most people start off first, which is building an object out of a bunch of different shapes. I believe that that teaches the wrong workflow. I mean, yes, you can get really, really great models out of it, but in the end, you end up with a whole lot of extra geometry and stuff that does not work in the engine very well. So first, let's discuss what makes a good video game model. One of my teachers introduced me to the website Bobo the Seal. This is a guy, he hasn't posted anything recent on this website. The latest was, 2007? But his stuff is amazing. Just to use it just for references, it's worth it. Excuse me. So, he has two characters I have up right now of his work. His orc, which is looks like it's done in the World of Warcraft style, and then a rat man right here that I want to look at. You can see the rat man in the background. You see a texture for him. That is something that we'll get into later, but mostly I just want to look at the models themselves. Starting with the orc. Here we can see how he was modeled out, all of his edges, his geometry, everything that makes him the character. Every modeler has their own opinions on what works and what doesn't, and what makes a good art piece and what makes a bad art piece. The things that I'm going to talk about are my opinions on how I think game art should work. Here on this page you can see that this orc has triangles. A lot of people argue for and against triangles. I believe for low poly video games, or video games in general, you should be utilizing triangles to reduce poly count. Poly count is how many polygons it takes to create your object or character or scene or whatever. Just how many polygons it is needed to make it. For animation, you do not want triangles. Triangles destroy your edge loops. Triangles, they're a pain. But at the same time, you don't want an excessive amount of edge loops that just get in the way. So, in my opinion, triangles are necessary. A lot of people also push whether you should have multiple objects or sub-objects for a character. This one obviously does have multiple sub-objects. You can see right here that this armor piece is separate from here. This one, these ones are separate from each other. That is some people I've heard have said that you want to make it all one piece. Other people say it's okay to have multiple pieces. I think that if you need the pieces separate for animation purposes, then that is what you want to do. Otherwise, you want to try and make it one piece, one solid piece. I do my best to model everything from one solid piece, but if it needs it for animation, I mean, you gotta have it separate. So, looking at Bobo the Seal, you can see that you don't have very high definition in the animation, or sorry, the model itself in the polys. This is actually a pretty low poly character. You can't really tell it from here because he does an amazing job with his textures. But generally for games, especially if you want to do an MMO or something with large poly counts, you want to have a lower poly count with per object. So, onto the Ratman. Excuse me. Come on, computer. Don't die now. There we go. You can see he's obviously made up of two separate meshes. One for his actual body and one for all of his clothing and his pack. The material here is just his pack and clothing. It's not his actual fur and body. But if you look at the geometry on this one, you can see that every piece of geometry has its purpose. Everything is used to create the outline, the shape of the creature. And this is important for when you're making characters. You have to be able to utilize every single bit of geometry to create your outline, while still maintaining your poly count and also still maintaining your edge flows where needed, versus your solid geometry where not. I think I just said that wrong. But anyways, you get the point, right? So, that being said, I'm going to be teaching a style that is not the usual. It's a little bit more difficult, and it helps if you have a reference image first before you start working. So I'm going to go ahead and close these down and then pop open Blender. So our scene, we've got our default setup. We've got the cube in the middle, the 3D gadget, and if you haven't deleted them, the light and the camera. For video game art, you do not need the light or the camera. Those two things you can delete if you want, or you can leave them or hide them. If you want to hide it, you just click the little eyeball next to its name. For creating a character, like I said, usually you want to have some kind of reference image. Personally, if I'm going to use a reference image, I will open up a background image, add image, and then open up an image. And I'm just going to pause it here and upload an image quickly. Okay, so I've pulled up a picture of a Harpy Eagle, and I'm just going to set it to my front viewport. So whenever I hit, where is it at? Oh, there we go. Where'd it go? There we go. And whenever I hit 1, it pops up. So the type of modeling I'm going to teach now is what is called strip modeling. This is a slightly different thing than you'll learn from most modeling. Let me pull up a side view too, and once I get that put up, I'll resume again. Okay, I have a side view set up. Unfortunately, using this method, you cannot, from what I know of, you cannot resize them so that they match sizes. So we'll just have to do a slightly different version than what I would do in Max. So for strip modeling, what I will do is I will first enter edit mode by hitting tab, go into faces mode, uncheck the the visible, make it so it's see-through. Hit A, deselect everything. Click on one of the faces, except for the left face. Control, right-click and drag, and then delete. So now I'm going to delete faces. So now, if you look, I only have one face left. From here, we'll go back to 3. We'll hit 3 on the keyboard, on the numpad, and set this so that it is right up against his beak right there. In edge mode, you'll see that moving that edge just moves the line. I'm going to line it up so that it outlines his beak, and then I'm going to outline his head by using the E button. E to extrude, and then I can just move it to make the outline. Three. There we go. And then I'll just quickly block this out so that we can continue on. Okay, so if you look here, we have the start of our outline. Let's squish it together a little bit. And now we'll just move this off to the side. So I'll hit tab again, exit the edit mode, open up my mesh, and I want to grab another cube. I'll hit 1. Let's move this over his face. I rotate it, and then I want to delete everything except for one of the side planes, so I'm going to leave the left plane again. So edit, faces mode, select one, control, right click and drag, delete faces. Select the face, go back to 1. This time I'm just going to outline the shape of the beak right where it connects with his feathers. I'm not going to worry about the shape of the beak in front or the shape of his head right now. So I'm going to grab this in edge mode. I'll grab the top one. I'll go in and I will start lining it up and outlining it. Let's put it here and then here. I want to try and mirror it as much as I can, so at this point, if I want it to be completely symmetrical, I will go in here to the modifiers tab where the wrench is, add modifier, and mirror. So we just need to figure out why it's not showing up. Oh, there we go. We don't want that one. We do want this one. So this image is not centered on the world, unfortunately. So what we'll have to do is hit A and then line this up with the center of the world. as you can see, the mirror is applying the same geometry on the opposite half. Obviously, this shouldn't be that wide, so we'll just need to shorten it a lot. And then we got the shape of his beak. So what I'll do now is I'll hit tab to go into object mode again. I'll go to 7, move this to right in front of the center of the world. I'll move this in from 7 so that it'll line up with that beak. And then obviously the size is not right, but that's okay. We just have to scale it a little bit and reposition it. And now we've got the shape of his beak started. So from here, holding shift, I will select both objects, and then I will hit, was it Control Y? No, was it Y? I don't have my cheat sheets here, so I don't remember. Control J, that's what it was. Yeah, I don't have any cheat sheet here. Oh, you see how that half disappeared? That is bad. So Control J makes them one mesh. So from here, we're in object mode. We need to apply the modifier, the mirror modifier, before we. So we apply it. We select both meshes. Control J. They are now one object. So tab, enter edit mode. And you can see we've got both objects as one. So what we do from here is we start making the two meshes fit together. This can be a little bit tricky if you're not sure how, but you can start to see where the meshes can easily connect together. So let's delete this face here. Oops, this face here. Let's merge these here because they aren't one object or one vertex or one line or whatever. Alt M at center is what I'm using for this one. And then I'm going to go ahead and delete dissolve edge, that one right there. So these two, I'm going to Alt M at center. Nope, that's not what I want. I want to do it separate than that. So these two, Alt M at center, and these two, Alt M at center. And you can see we're starting to build the shape of the beak. Let's bring this one, Alt M at last. So if we go to 3, you can see it's obviously not lined up anymore, but we're starting to get the shape of the beak. So these ones are too wide. Let's go ahead and scale them closer. Now it's better. So from here, let's go ahead and get rid of these two faces right here. They aren't needed. And then let's get rid of this face here. So we'll take this vertex and merge it with that one at center. This one, merge it with this one at center. This one here at center, and this one here at center. Now if you look, it's a mesh. It's a solid mesh. So to fix that hole right there, we select the two edges, make edge face. Now from here, it's pretty much connect the dots. This front part is obviously too wide, so let's go ahead. Let's do it this way and scale those in. We want to make it thinner. This one won't be as thin. Slowly make it bigger. These two are obviously all too wide as well, but we don't want it as thin as the front. The tip of the beak should be the very thinnest point, so we want to make the tip of the beak to be the very thinnest. So from here, we try to connect the edges together. This one, let's toss subdivide in there. So now we have another division. Let's go ahead and leave that there. Make edge face. Oh, come on. Subdivide. Grab this one, pull it out a little bit. Makes it rounds it out. You see how this is starting to work? Make edge face. Grab this one. Make edge face. And then, well, see here we have a problem started. We have the two of them, but they don't line up. That's where collapse Alt-M at center or collapse is great, or else, depending on how you select it, 1 and 2, Alt-M at first or last, depending on where you want the vertice to connect. So let's go ahead and split this off right here. We're going to give him an upper and a lower beak. So right here, let's go to edge mode. We'll give him 3 sides to the beak here. Connect these two. This, we don't want it there. It's not a good angle. So let's modify it. Let's pull it forward. That's too far back. And those aren't lined up very well, as you can see from the different angle. You always want to look at your object from different angles to see how to improve the shape. So let's go ahead and connect from here to there, and then from here to here. Oops, here. For the eyes and the face, we'll pull off from here, E to extrude. Let's pull it up. Too far back, so let's pull it there. Now from the top view, we'll round it out a bit. This is too much. And then from the front view, that's too high, so we bring it down. We're going to make the eye, let's see here. Let's select everything. Let's go ahead and scale it down so it fits this image. Oops. Line it up so the eye will be right here. Let's go ahead and pull this forward and in a little bit. And then we don't want to extrude both of them if we make the eye here. So go ahead and pull that. Let's see here. E, 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 and connect those. And you can see we're starting to get the shape of the eye right there. Merge these. These spots haven't been I didn't really line them up, I just kind of approximated where they would be. So if you look at it from different angles, it looks kind of funny. The thing with using this method is you need to know a little bit more about proportions and anatomy, so you need to study that a little bit. It does take some work, but it makes much better models in the end. And you can see we're starting to get half of a bird face done. Let's bring these in to make the cheeks. Pull this out a little bit. We want these to be out because it has that a really pronounced eyebrow ridge. So let's check number 1 again. The image, the bird is looking off to the side a little bit, so you have to take that into account when you're making the model. But that's easy enough. For this next part, we'll go ahead and in edge mode make edge face, but from here we're going to hit W and inset face. Whoops. That way we can mark where it's at by giving it a little bit of a protrusion and scaling it down a little bit. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I said scale. In edge mode, we'll select one of these lines, Control E. We're going to edge ring. That'll select all of them that are around, and then you can either subdivide, or instead of doing that, you can use loop, cut, and slide and create a ring around it. You want to push it out to the edge a little bit. Grab your what is this one called again? Your translate tool, and then pull it back, and you'll see it starts giving it kind of an eye socket look. Don't worry about how square it is yet. You'll be adding that in later. Let's go ahead and move, whoops, this one right here back a little bit. Start making the shape of the face more. Go ahead and grab these. For that one, I clicked and I held Control and I clicked down here and it selected the whole edge. So from 7, we're going to start rounding out the head. And then E to extrude. Let's go ahead and connect these two right here. I'm going to attach this one to that one, so Alt M at last. And then I'm going to go to number 3 for this part and start bringing it down. And then from here, oops, I can subdivide this Alt M, oops, Alt M at last, Alt M at last, Alt M at last. Let's move this up so it's not pulled down all the way. And then pull this back. And we're starting to get the throat. We could either leave a triangle here or make that a rectangle. At this point, we're starting to get into a wide area. And if we do just leave it as a triangle, the further out you get, the longer the shape of the face is going to be. So if you make a face, it's really long right there. You don't really want that. So let's go ahead and make that into a square shape right here. So E, and then make edge face. So if you just extrude it once and then connect it to another one, it just makes a square shape. And that's how you add in more geometry where you need it. So then let's go ahead and fill out here. Let's go to 7. As you can see, it starts to get a bit crowded in here. You just kind of want to line it up. Let's bring this down and then connect these two. Alt M, I'll want to do it at center. And pull it down and out and back a little bit. Here, oops. Alt M at last. And you can see it's starting to take shape like pretty well. Obviously it still needs a lot of work. I haven't really been tracing it too much, but once you get all the holes filled in, then you'll start tweaking it to make it fit the shape. You'll follow the contours of the head and make it so it's not as lumpy, like we have some lumps right here. So we would just pull that in. Oh, that one would be there. Pull that in. Here. That one needs to go in. This one needs to go in. And now, actually, for that spot, it is out. My bad. So this part would come out, this part would come out, and this part would come out. Now's a good time to check it in perspective to see how it looks with perspective on. These are all obviously too high. Bring them down, even that out, so it makes a smoother transition. And then from here, we'll start our feather flare. We want to go at 1. Exit orthographic. Pull it out. And then pull this in. Well, let's do it with edges. Let's pull these down. Give it some more geometry here. Even it out. That way it's not all squished together. And then pull it in. And you're starting to get your shape. Always check it from every angle so that your edits don't start looking very weird. Pull this. We'll just leave it there. Let's go ahead and connect here. Make edge face. Let's pull these. Make edge face. No, I want subdivide, not make edge face. So 1 and 3. So let's go ahead and pull this in, and then you can be using rotate. I don't use rotate a lot to just rotate the edges to fit better. I just forget about the tool. Obviously my workflow is not the only one you can do. There are all kinds of workflows you can do. This is just how I do it. Let's see here. Let's pull this down and in, since that's, whoops, that's a feather there. We'll make the edge of the feather E for extrude. Go ahead and Alt M at last. This. Go ahead and move back. We'll pull these over. And from here we'll bring this one down. Oops, wrong button. At center. E. Let's go ahead and flatten this out all the way now. Move these in a little bit. Connect here to here. And we're starting to get the feathers on the head. Let's make them a little bit thinner. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this up For the partially at least. And then I will open it back up again when I get to my next spot. Okay, so as you can see, whoops, I finished up most of the head. Well, at least the half that I was working on. This we're going to ignore for now. So from here you can see that it's kind of missing half of itself. So let's go ahead, Control E, edge loop, oops, edge ring, sorry. And actually, let's just use loop, cut, and slide instead, and make an edge right there. As you can, if you go in the front, it's not completely straight lined up. So what we're going to do from here, so we're just going to eyeball it for now, straighten it up, and then this is where I use this part. Global, make sure global selected, set it at 0. Yeah. So now that is directly on the middle seam of the world. It looks like I'll have to adjust the beak a little bit because this looks like it got moved over too much. Let's make sure not to select that middle line. So what I'm doing is I'm holding shift while I'm clicking that line, and it deselects the line. I'm holding shift while I click the vertices on that line, at least I should say. There we go. Now it's not directly on that line. Okay, so back to 1. Good. So we will go to face mode, click one of them on this side, control right click drag. We are going to delete everything on this side of that line. Try not to accidentally delete anything on the other side. We missed one there. And then go ahead and delete faces. You know what? Let's fix the shape of that eyeball right now. Actually, no. We want to use loop, cut, and slide. That's an interesting edge loop. Let's go ahead, set it right there. We'll go back in and modify it later, but let's go ahead and pull these down. Oops. Hey, stop it. Undo. Pull these down, and we'll pull these up to give it more of a round look. There we go. And from here, I am going to connect these two lines. No, actually, I'm going to do it from here. What this does is if I Control E, edge loop, it'll follow the loop of the thing all the way around, and I want to dissolve these edges. This way, it gives me a triangle here, but I don't add a whole lot of geometry that I won't be using. And I'm going to do the same up here. There we go. Now the eye has more shape, and we didn't add a whole lot of extra geometry. Let's go ahead and fix this a little bit. There. If you haven't saved, you should probably do that. I don't know creature. Create new folder. This will be Harpy Eagle. I just saved that in the wrong spot. Oh well. And then, so from here, we're going to do a new technique, a little bit more advanced. We'll go ahead and select this whole loop, hold Control click. That didn't work. So we're going to have to do this Control Shift M. No, Control Shift Alt M. There we go. Control Shift Alt M. And then we're going to deselect these edges by holding Shift and clicking on them. We only want the ones that are in the middle. Oops, I want those ones back. So from here, we're going to go to vertex, and then we're going to turn this off, just so it's a little bit less confusing. We are going to this button, we're going to go to vertex. Let's see here. How did they do it? Okay. We're going to make this active. And then we are going to go up here to our wrench and apply the mirror modifier. You can see it's not quite centered, even though this is obviously directly in the center. So what that tells me is in object mode, this isn't centered. So let's X this out right here on the modifier. Control A. You'll want to do rotation and scale. What this does is it zeroes out all the settings over here so that they are at they're completely cleared out. So let's go ahead, add modifier mirror again. Oh, that didn't fix it. Interesting. Is there a way to move that? Oh, it's not mirror centered. Let's try this again. Control A, location. There we go. That's what it was. I did the wrong one. So let's tab into it again and mirror. There we go. So with those still selected, I'm going to grab the arrow. Wait, I did something wrong. Nope, that's not right. What did I do wrong? Increment? Okay. So this one needs to be set on increment. And I'm going to make sure it snaps to the middle. I'm going to hit clipping. And then I'm going to hit tab. It didn't work. What did I do wrong? Well, anyways, I have this step set up at work. We're just going to have to manually go in and modify the locations of those vertices. So from here, you're just going to have to click the vertice and hit 0 on the x-axis. Now you open up this window by hitting the N button in case you need to do that. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and pause it while I merge all these, and then I'll be right back. So I haven't finished them, but I wanted to say something. So usually you don't have to do this if you model it correctly in the first place. Unfortunately, I did not do that because I moved them around too much. But if I hadn't have moved them around so much when I first set it up, it would have worked fine without me having to modify it, because the line would have been directly in the middle. So, as you can see, we've got our first mesh started. You'll pretty much use the same technique to create the entire body if you want. You can use this method to model out the entire body, the feet, the wings. Here's a tip: if you do the feathers, you want to make them a flat plane. You don't want to give them a back face. Just because when you texture it, it doesn't look right if it's too thick. So if you just leave it as a flat plane, it works better. But here we are. You've got the start of your first model going. You know how to do it. You just need to finish doing it. It'll take a few hours, but in the end of the day, you're going to have yourself a Harpy Eagle. You just got to make sure to keep tweaking it. If you have unused geometry, you get rid of it. Or else you use it. It's usually better to use it. Why is it not letting me move it? Oh, because it's still on snap. Actually, I want to bring it in there to give it more of a flare for the feathers. There we go. But that's how you strip model. It starts out looking a little bit ugly at first. It's going to take a lot of practice, but good luck and make awesome things. And thank you for watching this tutorial. I'll talk to you later.